going on, Jerome? It's a beautiful Thursday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. Actually, everything is horrible. Everything is terrible. Everything is no good, very bad. That's all. So, Vikings training camp did open yesterday. First practice. Talk about practice. And second-year cornerback Mekhi Blackmon, who has a very high ceiling and was looking to become a starter for the Vikings this year, tore his ACL. Yeah, just really, really damn unfortunate. Also, like we said, first damn practice. Come on, man. Come on. But Mekhi Blackmon has vowed to get back after things. This ish gonna be what it's gonna be. Hashtag God got me, as well as teammates in the secondary, Josh Metellus, Byron Murphy Jr., among others, wishing him well and know that he's gonna be back stronger and better than ever. But it just sucks. Just sucks, man. But someone that we're hoping to step up in the secondary is 2022 second-round pick, number 42 overall, Andrew Booth Jr. And this sort of went viral, but for bad reasons. Like, this is an odd interview. So Doogie, of course, doing his job, KSDP Sports, but Andrew Booth Jr., he seemed like very disinterested, sort of whatever, kind of stock answers. And I don't know, like there wasn't any like gravitas. There wasn't any flair. And maybe like interviews just aren't really his thing. Maybe he was annoyed. Maybe he had a bad day. Who really knows? Maybe he's concerned for his guy, Mekhi Blackmon, who had been carted off earlier or walked off earlier in practice. But I don't know, man. Like I'm not holding my breath. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Like maybe another team will trade for him. Or Lewisine, the whole "mama, I can change him" situation, because that works for other teams as well. So who knows, man. But also, Andrew Booth Jr. was in coverage on Justin freaking Jefferson. Maybe that was the problem. But the largest play of Wednesday was Slinging Sam Darnold drop a 50-yard bomb in stride, Justin Jefferson to the house. It's beautiful, man. Now Darnold. Actually, all the quarterbacks were so up and down the first day of practice, but that's why you have training camp. That's why you have talking about practice, working on syncing up, building that chemistry, and of course, everyone except for Mullins and Hall are brand new to the squad. So, Slinging Sam Darnold, as well as McCarthy, working on things now. Even though Darnold had the highlight throw, like there was a lot to like from McCarthy. He has a hose for an arm. A lot of outside the numbers work. Yesterday in terms of quarterback wide receiver drills, and that's something that is going to have to be a hallmark for the Vikings, or something that's going to be a staple, because McCarthy and Darnold can make those throws, and they got the arm talent, and as soon as they get things synced up with the receivers timing wise, baby, let's get it going, man. Also, fellow first round pick Diamond Dallas Turner putting in some good work. I maybe have too large of a position in terms of jelly beans on Diamond Dallas Turner being Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty good. Because, again, predicting Turner, 11.5 sacks, walking away, Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's right, man. Absolutely. Also, absolutely, is Christian Darrisaw. So he fed the local media jackals yesterday after becoming the highest paid left tackle in NFL history. And basically, Darrisaw was talking about how he loves the great state of Minnesota. He loves his team. He loves this locker room. He loves everything about it, man. So basically he said that there's nowhere that he'd rather be than Minnesota. And it's sort of like he Michael Scotted the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100 shots, 100% of the shots you don't take. He sort of did that with the Prince quote. I like Hollywood. I just like Minneapolis a little bit better. So Darrisaw staying in purple long term. Something I'd love to see. Also love to see Levi Drake Rodriguez, the pride of Texas A&M Commerce, was a great story where the Vikings were in on him early and often, and they gambled and they let him fall to the Vikings, fall into the laps in the 7th round, pick 232. Small school dude, but all heart, all hustle, and a guy that hopefully he's going to contribute in a spot where the Vikings definitely need some help along the defensive line. Alec Lewis, the Athletic, great anecdote here. Field mostly cleared, but there's Levi Drake Rodriguez, senior sack, dipping and spinning on fake blockers, all by himself with full energy. Can't not love it. And of course, shades of Jumpin' John Randall, another undersized defensive tackle from a Texas A&whatever school, Texas A&M Kingsville for John Randall, Texas A&M Commerce for LDR. And what's great about it is So when players succeed or fail in the NFL, there's a myriad of reasons, especially if they fail, right? Sometimes they don't put in the work. Sometimes they're just in a bad spot, bad scheme fit, bad coaching, distractions, whatever. And we said this about McCarthy, and it applies to Rodriguez as well. They won't fail because they didn't work hard enough, right? And that's what's great about McCarthy, film junkie, first one at practice, put in extra time with the coaches, with receivers, always trying to get that work in. And same thing with Rodriguez, where his profiles after he got drafted, he was always the first one at his school's football facilities at 5 a.m. He's doing the same thing here at TCO, and he's going to work his ass off. Like, if he doesn't work out, he just didn't have enough talent. It just sort of is what it is. And the whole thing about it is, you can accept that. And same thing with McCarthy. Like, if McCarthy doesn't work out, it won't be for lack of effort or lack of putting in the work. It'll be just because he's not good enough. And again, you can feel fine about that, because that takes away several factors where leads to a lot of players not working on the NFL if they don't do the work. But LDR is going to do the work. He's going to show up. He's going to do whatever he can. And I love that mentality, man. Wish we had 90 Levi Drake Rodriguez's, although I don't know how his arm is. I don't know. Next. So Will Raggett, Sports Illustrated, had a couple great nuggets in his day one wrap-up report. Blake Brandel is still the left guard with the Vikings starting offense. Dalton Risner is working at right guard with the second unit. Now, we were incorrect on this the other day. So what we had said that Risner had still been at left guard. Tyrese Robinson had been right guard. That's actually flipped around. T-Rob at left guard, second team. And then Dalton Risner at right guard with the second team. Ed Ingram still the incumbent starter at right guard with the first team. The guess is that the two best players out of Brandel, Ed Ingram and Risner, will be the starters, with the possibility of Risner supplanting the current top guy at either spot. Now, Risner played all over the offensive line at Kansas State. Played center, played tackle, played guard on both sides, but in the NFL, he's only played left guard. 4 years with Denver, 1 year last year with the Vikings, all at left guard. So, and it is a switch up. Like, it's not as pronounced as the change from playing left tackle to right tackle or vice versa. Which, I mean, swing tackles, you got to respect that. I mean, they have to come in cold. They don't get practice reps, and they got to be able to back up both spots. I mean, that's a great skill set to have, man. But we've seen it before. Like when the Vikings moved Brandon Fusco, they switched sides with him. Like, it didn't work out. Like, he was great on one side, switched to the other side, didn't quite work out. Fusco, the pride of Slippery Rock. Oh, so going down a rabbit hole. We've always recommended Collision Low Crossers. It's a book about, I believe it's the 2010 Jets. I think Kevin O'Connell makes a cameo. O'Connell, I think, makes a cameo in that book. Pettin is one of the main characters. Former Vikings outside linebackers coach Mike Smith is a main character in the book as well. Sendejo makes an appearance. But when they're going through the draft process, they interview Brandon Fusco, who was a draft pick that year. He was coming out of Slippery Rock, and he hit a funny line. Paraphrasing here, I'm trying to remember, drag this from memory, but it's basically like, offensive linemen like don't get the women or something like that. Don't get the ladies because offensive linemen are like fat dudes. But I feel like that is in, especially bearded dudes. Like bearded fat dudes can be fine in today's society. You're good to go. Plus, hell, not even today's society. Way back in the day. I mean, way back with ancestors. Like medieval times or even ancient times, like everyone had facial hair because no one had the razor yet. Also, if you were rotund, it means that you're a hell of a hunter. That means that you will be valuable. That means that you will be able to provide for the children. So your genetics would be, I've thought way too much about this. Also, you know what's crazy? Every single person on Earth like is descended from ancestors who were able to pass on their genetics because they were badass. Every single, that's crazy. Crazy thing. Survival of the fittest. Anyways, what the hell are we talking about? Andrew Van Ginkel foot took a few reps in 7s, but not in 11s. Kevin O'Connell had talked about how they're ramping him up. Hopefully he should be good to go for the first padded practice on Monday, the 29th. Dallas Turner was out there with Jonathan Grenard with the 1s, which You love to see PJ2 in there a bit as well. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Lastly, actually, two things left. So, Judd Zulgad, this is actually kind of funny. I asked Judd Zulgad, former Star Tribune Packers beat writer. Not making that up. I asked Justin Jefferson about his modest house shown in receiver. Jefferson said this, quote, "I'm one person. I ain't got no big family. I don't need to be in no $10 million mansion. That's not something I came from. I grew up with parents that were grateful for what they had, and I was grateful for what I grew up with. I never grew up having no big old house. Maybe I'll move on to that. Maybe not. I guess we'll find out sooner or later." Now, yeah, a lot of people were surprised. I mean, Jefferson living in a townhouse here. I mean, it's a nice townhouse. Looks like a nice area. Also, got the Benz and other vehicles in front. Also, he pulled up in a Maybach at training camp, but he can afford that now. Also, the whole thing about it is, like, when you're on your rookie deal, even if you're a first-round pick, like Jefferson was a later first-round pick, so even though his money is guaranteed in that 4-year deal, like, after taxes especially, like, it's not a ton. Especially since NFL not for long. Now, Jefferson, with his long-term extension, can afford some nice. But I really love and respect that mentality, because so often you see athletes just, when they get a little bit of cash, like they buy the $10 million house, which sometimes they live alone. Like sometimes, I mean, hell, even if they got wife, kids, and whatnot, and some family members living with them, like it's a little bit too much. And that overhead is pretty damn expensive, and once you retire, or once you're done with the game, or the game is done with you, those bills don't go away, and that can lead to issues when you're not bringing in that same salary. But again, I love and respect Jefferson's perspective on that, gratitude, and not being ostentatious. Maybe that's he's such a humble kid. Maybe that's why he has to put on the chains and the grill and become Jets. The alter ego, as we've seen from the Netflix documentary. But it's fantastic. Opposite of fantastic. So Kirk Cousins, I know the people will be like, well, why are you still talking about Kirk? Hey, I'm just scouting the Week 14 opponent. Something like that. But yeah, Kirk showed up at Falcons training camp wearing a vintage, old school Steve Smith jersey. I really hate that these are like late 90s, early 2000s jerseys, and I just said vintage, but is what it is. But it's a great looking jersey. Not gonna lie. Plus, I feel like Steve Smith was always underrated. If your name is Steve Smith, I feel like basketball, football Steve Smith, actually both football Steve Smiths, as well as American Dad Steve Smith, all underrated. If your name is Steve Smith, you're gonna be underrated. Yeah, but I mean, of course, Kurt, who has no ties to Atlanta or Georgia outside of his wife. He's just acclimating, right? But we've seen this show before. Come on, Kurt. Come on. But anyways, that's it. Vikings news dump for this wonderful Thursday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.